Friends, in our time together today, I'm comparing 4 low D whistles: the Goldfinch, the Kerry Optima, the Sin, and the James Dominic. A friend in the community asked specifically to compare the Goldfinch and the Optima. And because of this friend's concerns as to what they want in the whistle, I decided to add in the Sin and the James Dominic as well. And we'll talk about what our friend's after. And I'm thinking by sharing this, it's going to help you think through what you're after in your first whistle or your next whistle. It's good for us to think through this. Now, what we'll do is we'll look at each, we'll play each of them, a scale, a tune. I'll talk about breath pressure, volume, tone qualities a bit, air requirements, and then I'll talk about where to pick one up. And I will not be at all preferential about one over the other because it's not my purchase, it's your purchase, or specifically our friend who's looking for a whistle. You know, I often say that one of the key factors in selecting a whistle is tone quality. That is very true. It is still at the top of the list. However, there are other factors that you need to think about. Things like, maybe you don't want a whistle that is prone to clogging in temperature variation. Maybe you want a whistle that you could travel with. Maybe you want a quiet whistle. Maybe you want a loud whistle. Maybe you want a breathy whistle. Maybe you want a whistle with a clean tone. Maybe you want a whistle in a specific price range. All these things are very important criteria for us and for our friend as well. So, one of the things our friend was saying was that they want a whistle, they like the portability, they like the Goldfinch you can get in a 3-piece. You could break that down and throw it in a suitcase or a small pack, not worry about it at all. I have said in videos before that when I ordered the 2-piece, I often wish I had gotten the 3-piece. So that's a concern for our friend. Our friend likes, though, the tone qualities of the Optima. And our friend also wants a whistle that's not too loud and doesn't have huge air requirements. And so I'm throwing in the Sin because the Sin from a tone standpoint sits between the Goldfinch and the Optima. A little breathy, a little fuzzy, but not as much as the Optima. Plus, it won't clog. And I'll talk about that in a sec as to when you're going to get clogging. So that's a good option. And I'm including the James Dominic because if you're just getting started and you want a very light PVC whistle, this is a great option. And but it's non-tunable. So our friend doesn't want a whistle that's going to clog. So what you may or may not know, but clogging occurs as you're blowing warmer air into the airway of your whistle, and on the inside that's a pretty narrow passage. As your warm air hits the metal in a metal head, condensation develops. There are a number of ways around this. One is to polish the inside of your airway with like toothpaste or use a surfactant liquid. You need to repeat that now and then. Another way is to get a whistle that is either all resin, all PVC, UPVC, or that has a plastic or injection molded or resin, Delrin, or some other clad head where the airway is not going to be metal, and that actually eliminates clogging by condensation. and so that's important to consider as well. So anyway, we've looked at it. I've held them up, but let's talk about them briefly. So, and I'm also going to tell you how much they cost and like lead time on getting them, because that's a concern with a couple of these. So the Goldfinch, this is the 2-piece. It's a tunable whistle, and the 3-piece would break it down into sections about that long. That's pretty amazing. But it's a very clear, clean tone, narrow but curved airway, so that also helps with non-clogging. It's a lot of people don't like the pure cleanliness of the tone, but a lot of people do as well. So the Optima comes in a tunable and a non-tunable version. All 4 of these are more Piper's grip or modified Piper's grip whistles, a broader finger stretch. If money's an issue, if money's not an issue, obviously I would be talking about the Carbony and some other whistles as well. But these are all under $200. So the Optima has that molded head and it won't be subject to clogging. There's a tunable and a non-tunable. The Sin, it's tunable. There's the tuning collar there. It's a clad head, and that's not going to clog. Slightly smaller curved airway. A little more breath pressure required here, metal body. Now, if you're playing outside and you're traveling, then you've got some concerns with, I haven't yet gone outside to play in freezing temperatures, but I don't think I want to hold a metal whistle when it's freezing outside. The James Dominic is a nice little whistle, very similar airway, won't clog, but it's non-tunable and it won't break down for easy transportation. So let me play a scale on each, and we'll jump in from there. First, the Goldfinch. All right, nice, clean tone. But in saying nice, clean tone, it's no breathiness, no fuzziness. Now with the Goldfinch, you need to make sure you don't overblow it. It's a pretty gentle player. We'll talk about the amount of breath, air in a minute. I'll do the same on the Optima. Now, the Goldfinch requires less air than the Optima, but the Optima is not going to leave you gasping for air mid-tune. The Goldfinch is also it blows very freely up into the second octave. You are going to have to learn a little bit about breath pressure on the Optima. Now, the Sin. All right. about at the same volume, but not too loud. There are a couple of whistles that I would have otherwise included, like the Susato, for example. The Susato low D is one of the louder low Ds, so it's not really going to fall into consideration for our friend. The James Dominic. It helps if you cover the holes. You see, the Dominic has a bit of breathiness to it, but not tons, and none of that little grittiness, that almost fuzziness that you get out of the Optima as well. So all about the same volume, I'd say. Well, let's double check that. You can't really push the low D on the Goldfinch. Now, the Goldfinch really doesn't want you to push it too hard. It just wants you to gently play it. Now, you do need a little breath pressure. Let me walk up from the second octave D, trying the same breath pressure, see where I stop. So around the A, I need to increase it a bit, the Optima. The Optima may be a little more quiet, actually, now that I think about it. It's around the A, the Optima starts falling apart, but you need a little bit more breath pressure on that. So it does have that fuzziness, and the reason I included the Sin is it also has some of that warmth to it. But it's a slightly softer, it's a little less breathiness and edginess than the Optima if you're looking for an in-between. One of the things you could do with the Sin is you can increase the breath pressure more throughout the whole range of the whistle to increase its volume, and that without the whistle being too loud. Let me try and see on breath pressure. So it's around the A. I need to increase it a bit more, but I also need to increase it so it doesn't start going a little flat, and that's important as well. Dominic, I think, will be the most quiet. Let me go to the second octave, walk up. It's really on the C sharp. I need to start increasing it there. Let me see on increasing volume. A low first octave G. If you push the Goldfinch too hard, it starts breaking. Some harmonics start coming in. They each have minimally different holes, and I'm start missing some there. Optima. Yeah, the Optima also doesn't really want you to push it too much from a volume change standpoint. Sin. A bit more. Not tons though. You got to pay a little bit more if you want that on the Dominic. Yeah, they're all pretty similar there. Let me play through a tune for us. I think I'm going to do the Minstrel Boy simply because it doesn't go too low, but it also goes a little higher up, and that'll give you some tone, and it's a little shorter. I'll first play through the Minstrel Boy on the Goldfinch. And I always have to remember that the Goldfinch doesn't want me to push too hard. If you do, the tone starts breaking up. So it's not a really hard blowing whistle. It's very gentle from a breath pressure and breath requirement standpoint. Now, the Minstrel Boy on the Optima. I'd say that the Optima needs a little more breath pressure to get good tone out of it. About the same on the breath requirement. At times maybe a smidge more. It's about the same, let's say. The Minstrel Boy on the Sin. And a little more breath pressure on the Sin, and it's got a, like, you've got to find that right breath pressure for it to have good tone. But when you find that breath pressure, it's not high, it's not huge at all. The Sin's going to enable you to play long phrases on a breath. Now, the James Dominic, the Minstrel Boy. On the Dominic, not much breath pressure, pretty easy blowing, but it is going to require a little more air. Before I tell you where to pick them up and the pricing, a few more comments on the playing. I want to play that low D. Went up to the G. So the Goldfinch, like I said, doesn't want me to push too hard. And if you've got a Goldfinch, pay attention to your tuning. Definitely pull out a tuner, an online tuner, because I found I really had to bring the head out some to get it in tune. But you can get it in tune. You know, some people have told me that when they receive it, it's a little sharp. To make sure that you extend that tube a bit to get it in tune if need be. The Optima. Notice the Optima does have a bit of a warmer, more mellow, breathier tone there. Now I said I think the Sin is kind of in between both the Goldfinch and the Optima. So it's a little cleaner of a tone, but it's still a bit of breathiness and a bit of that more traditional, it's a little bit of an edge to it. And the Dominic. And I think the Dominic is also a little breathy, some warmth to it. Definitely the Goldfinch is the cleanest tone. So all of those factors are going to come together, help our friend make a choice and help you make a choice. Now, where to pick these up? You've got to buy a Goldfinch from the good folks at Goldfinch. They are nice folks. Well, these are all nice folks. If you want your whistle really soon, and you really want a Goldfinch, then buy something else in the meantime. Because when you order a Goldfinch, you send an email saying what you want. You get a reply that says, well, your whistle's going to take 5 weeks to make because it's made to order. And it'll be this much money. Then you pay and then you wait. And depending upon where you are in the world, the Goldfinch whistle, takes a little while to get shipped to you. But if you're after that 3-piece whistle, I don't know somebody else who does that. Do you know anybody else who does a 3-piece low D? That would be pretty awesome. Please comment on that. So anyway, the Goldfinch is, the 3-piece is 159 euros, $186. The Kerry Optima, if you don't need a tunable version, now again, this is not going to be the easiest to transport whistle because it's this long. The Goldfinch is definitely the most transportable if you get the 3-piece. So the Optima is 89 pounds. That's $120 at today's exchange rate. And today is the 29th of September, 2025. The tunable version of the Optima is 129 pounds. That's $173 today. The Sin is $135 tunable. And the Dominic is around $90. I say around $90 because the folks at James Dominic are revising the website. And as of today, when you pull up the website, it's going to say, hang tight, we're redoing our website. So that's pretty cool. And I'll add links in the notes to this video as to where you could pick up each of these whistles. So if non-clogging, if volume's your concern, each of these are good, but pay attention. The Goldfinch may be a little louder, but they're all about the same. Something like the Susato is going to be louder again. And there are some louder low Ds. If you want clean tone, then clean tone and quieter, the Goldfinch is your deal. If you want breathiness, it's probably the Sin and the Dominic are kind of in the middle-ish. Depending upon how I play them, one could be more than the other. And the Optima is the more breathy of the tones. If you're shopping price, that's a consideration. But if you're shopping for a whistle that's not going to clog, then any of these whistles, and then if the Goldfinch is up to like almost $190 for the 3-piece, then that really opens up a wide array of other whistles for you, depending upon the air requirements, breath pressure that you're after, a Howard, a Quizzle, and wow, a number of other whistles. You get the If you want non-tunable, then you're going to throw the non-tunable. I know you're not going to throw the Chieftain into the mix because it's a metal head. So there are a lot of other whistles out there. So I hope this is helpful, friends. And yes, I kind of talking all around it because our friend's looking for some ideas. And so you've got to describe the whistles in many facets. You can't just say this whistle's better than this whistle, because if you want a backpack whistle and you want a three-piece whistle, you don't have many options. If you want a whistle that's not going to clog, you've got a lot of options. If you want a quieter whistle, you don't have tons of options. So you've got to mix and match all this stuff. If this is helpful, please like the video. If you're brand new and checking us out because of this video, please subscribe. We've got the best community of folks learning to play the whistle together. Until next time, my friends, this is Scott Shade. Happy whistling. And I should add that if you need a comparison of some low D whistles, please let me know. Until next time, happy whistling.